National Security and the Electoral Commission of Ghana have supervised the destruction of the templates used for the printing of ballot papers for this year's elections for constituencies in the Greater Accra and Volta regions. Inolink Ghana Limited, the company contracted to print the election materials, set them on fire at Agbogloshi here in Accra on Thursday as part of a process to eliminate the possibility of the templates being used to print extra ballots that could be used to compromise the integrity of the polls. The destruction was witnessed by the various stakeholders after concerns were raised by some political parties about the printing process. Head of Marketing at Inolink, Michael Quantin, explained what the destruction entails.
After defacing the plate here, we've already placed the wastage in the van there. Then after that, the DNI, the National Security, the police, UC official, party reps, NDC, NPP, PNC, CPP, those available here were accompanying the van in a convoy to Agbogloshi behind ICGC. It will be burnt there. Then after burning, when they are all satisfied everything is burnt, then we issue out a certificate of destruction. Then they all sign, then append their signature and date on it. Then we disperse, then we are over.
Mr. Quantin assured there will be better communication with stakeholders to clear any doubts about the process going forward.
Helping our competitor because he was challenged with the baking machine that we helped. Their party reps were there when the chairperson of the EC came around, asked questions. It was clear that they are not alleging that we took a presidential ballot plate outside. The issue is that what was taken out, they didn't know. They were asking questions. And the question has been answered. That what we took out was a notice of proof. But for hindsight, looking at the intensity of the election, at the next time round, we informed them that this is what we are doing for party, this company A or company B.
Now call them the Gang of Three. First, the attempt to contest the 2016 presidential elections was met with a disqualification. The EC disqualified them from the race, leaving them with no choice but a battle in court for consideration. That wasn't easy, but eventually victory came their way. Now, Dr. Papa Kwesi Indom of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Edward Mahama of the People's National Convention and the National Democratic Party's Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings say they don't believe the upcoming polls will be free and fair. They cite 3 reasons, including 6 weeks they spent in court battling their cases and inconsistency in information flow from the Electoral Commission. Policy advisor of the PPP, Kofi Asomasian, was on the pause earlier to explain their issues.
If you read the report over the years about the election and the conclusion that comes to free and fair elections having been held, they talk about the fact that on election day there were no violence. On election day, people were able to queue up and vote. On election day, the ballots were cast and was counted, and then somebody was declared president or president-elect or parliamentary candidate-elect. So there's that misunderstanding, but we have always held the view that free and fair election is an entire gamut of the processes leading to the election. So how voters get registered, how ballot electoral materials are distributed and so on and so forth, how the process is transparent, how candidates have an opportunity to participate in the process, when the electoral laws are upheld to its letter and spirit. So as we speak, you can't say that 2016 election will be free and fair. Our objective in this joint statement is to put across to the Ghanaian people and all the major stakeholders that this year election, we should forget about any conclusion that is going to be free and fair. It's not going to be. And we have a number of grounds. Number one is that the Electoral Commission has used the CI-94 as a regulatory instrument or turned it to become an oppressive tool against these 3 parties that I've mentioned. What was this point about going to court to resolve this matter of disqualification? Deliberate, orchestrated attempt to take us from the arena of political campaign when it mattered most. So we in the PPP, for example, were supposed to campaign the last 3 months leading to the election because that is what we thought we needed. And you take 6 weeks out of that. You allow us to go and spend huge legal fees in court. The matter didn't end at the High Court. You took us all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, if you go to the grounds, some of the things the feedback we were getting was that, oh, but you people are not in the ballot. You people, you can't fill a normal form so that you can get qualified, and this is what you can't do, and you want to be president.
I don't think they are loyal supporters. If they are, they won't be saying that.
No, I'm talking about, we didn't get 55 million vote or 50% of the votes in the last election. Okay. So we are now appealing to that big chunk of the electorate to come to our aid. Okay. Number two, there is this deliberate attempt by the Electoral Commission to selectively apply the laws when it suits one political party or the other.
Are you not being too hard on the Electoral Commission, who says that we're just trying to ensure that the right thing is being done? They just say it. Their conduct doesn't support it. I'll give you a few examples. Look, this disqualification, MPP NDC got an opportunity to make corrections on their form. We didn't. If the EC chair was minded to apply the law fairly, why do you allow us to go through 6 weeks of legal battle before we come back on the ballot, when a phone call could have done the trick?
The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation has refuted findings of an anti-corruption coalition research that it has shown bias against opposition parties in its reportage of the electioneering campaign. The findings of the report conducted by the Anti-Corruption Coalition revealed 5 of the 6 state media outlets, Ghana Television, Mirror, Ghanaian Times, Daily Graphic and Unique FM, have not been fair in their reportage. The coalition, made up of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Citizens Movement Against Corruption and Center for Democratic Development, conducted the monitoring of abuse of incumbency between June and August this year. Coalition member Edem Senanu explained the study assessed the appearance, number of stories, quality of access to political parties in the candidates and time given to the party.
Generally, the information provided to the public by the state media platforms for the period June to August 2016 was biased. And was biased simply because some political parties were given more airtime and print space than others. And not necessarily because individuals in these state media platforms are biased. I think we want to make a distinction. It happens that what has gone out there, because some people had more time or more space, more mentions, more appearances, the eventual result has been biased because of the system. Not necessarily meaning that some of the individuals there have a calculated intent to bias the information. That distinction must be made. That's the first point. Now, it's also important for us as a coalition to make a few proposals. We are aware that GBC needs to survive and be sustainable. We are aware that other state media platforms need that type of leverage. But to be compliant with our constitution and to provide fair opportunities by ensuring equal access, there are 5 things we think are important. We think that during that period, please go back, during the period of election campaigning, the commercial interest component of the state-owned media must be put aside. Because there's no other way that providing equal access can be achieved if we are going to still take money from some of the parties and give them more time or space. It just won't work. So the first recommendation we have is that for that period, state-owned media platforms cannot pursue a commercial interest once the political campaign season commences. We think that targets for extending equal space and time to the various political parties must be set internally by these various platforms so that they are implemented and monitored, and you can be sure that the constitutional obligation is being met.
But the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation says it is not to be blamed. Deputy Director of News at GTV, Johnny Ayite, explains.
All the political parties and candidates know exactly what they've got to do to be able to assess us. And then just to let you know, every candidate, every party has a team like the president. We have tried as much as possible, given the ruling of 1993. But you see, there's this other side that we all lose sight of. If we give you the airtime, the opportunity, and everything else to take advantage of, and you don't, we can't organize the event for you. As we speak now, there's one candidate that has never made a call on us. You keep calling, they tell you they are coming. What can we do? I'm sure the next monitoring report is going to show that GBC didn't cover one particular party or candidate. It's not our fault. When it's your turn to appear and the producer gets in touch with you and you don't show up, we don't blame GBC. Because some of the parties really are not in a position to take advantage of the programming or the opportunities offered in local dialects. They don't have the capacity or the human resource to be able to do that. That's not GBC's problem. We've given it to you. If you don't take it, additionally, we also have free airtime available to other parties. They know.
The Electoral Commission has dismissed suggestions that residents of Kui and Dolapa, both communities in the Bole constituency of the northern region, may not be able to vote due to reports of insecurity there. There are reports that suspected Ivorian rebels have taken over the two communities which share a border with neighboring Ivory Coast have already been discounted by the police. Public Relations Officer for the Northern Region Police Command, ASP Ebenezer Tete, tells Joy News the reports are baseless.
I want you to disregard that information that rebels have invaded Kui and Dollar Power. It is a baseless piece of news item, and such information at this critical time, what it does is that it poisons the atmosphere and it creates unnecessary anxiety and tension. Despite that information, false information that has been put out there, we have put in a lot of measures on the day before, during, and even after the voting to effectively patrol these areas. We are going to ensure that everybody in these areas comes out to exercise his or a franchise. So that is the assurance I want to give to the people of Kui and Dollar Power. There's no such thing there.
Mr. Tete, the report suggests that these communities have become a sanctuary for former President Laurent Gbagbo's backed rebel Gangian patriots. Are you denying this?
I am telling you that it is a false piece of news item, and everybody should disregard this piece of yellow journalism. It is not true. And I am telling you that the community that you are talking about, Kui and Dollar Power, they are mining communities. People moving out of these communities every day. There are people moving and out of these communities every day. Yes, there are some kind of crimes associated. You know, mining areas, there are certain crimes associated with some mining areas. And we are not discounting that the fact that there were some problems in those areas some time ago. But it is palpably false. It is not true that rebels have invaded the place. It is a
Deputy Director of Communications at the EC says the Commission's work will not be impacted in any way.
Dollar Power is not in Ghana. It is. You need to cross the black border into Ivory Coast. So in the first place, we cannot set up a polling station in Dollar Power, although we have Ghanaian residents, living there and mining. The law will not permit us to set up polling stations outside, the country. That is the first thing. Most of the people who are in Dollar Power are residents in the Bole district who are registered in the various polling stations across the district. So all those persons can freely, on election day, come to or visit all the polling stations in which they are registered and would be able to vote. When we come to Kui is under Singa electoral area. So all the persons who live there and mine there can also have access to polling stations in the district. So I wouldn't say it's a problem. We have to distinguish the issue of security and voting. For the Electoral Commission, we have, if you look at Dollar Power, it's closer to a polling station called Intereso, which is in the Gbenkui electoral area. So all the persons who are in Dollar Power and who are registered within the Gbenkui electoral area can come on election day and cast their vote. So it's not going to be any problem for residents who are duly registered and qualified to vote to be able to vote.
The two border communities have reportedly been a sanctuary for former President Laurent Gbagbo's backed rebel gang, Young Patriots, after he was forced out of office in 2011. Now, General Secretary of the governing NDC, Johnson Esiedu Nketia, has refuted claims the party is engaging in tribal politics by highlighting the fact that President Mahama is of northern extraction. According to him, the NDC is rather highlighting its social democratic orientation and that it does not discriminate against any persons in the country, irrespective of their background, contrary to what he says is practiced by the opposition MPP, which he says believes in class, family orientation and language spoken. He said this at separate rallies in Ginting, Bankurugu and Bindi, all in the Nyonyo constituency, at the start of his 3-day campaign tour of the northern region.
A presidential candidate or the others within NDC did not think that because he's a can, they shouldn't vote for him. They all voted for him. And in fact, he had his highest vote from the northern sector. And he wasn't a northerner. Then, when Professor Mills expired, we chose a northerner, President Dramani Mahama, who is the president. We didn't say that northerners end at running mates or vice president. We think that we are equally Ghanaians, and if somebody has operated as a vice president, he is more qualified to be president than anybody else. So we made him president, and we are fighting to get him his second term as a president. So you see, when we talk about NDC's respect for every Ghanaian and NDC's respect for Northerners, Evers, Fantes, Akans, and everybody equally, people want to construe it as if we are doing tribal politics. We are not doing tribal politics. We are not saying vote for President Mahama because he's a Northerner. Because you were voting for NDC even when our flag bearer and the running mate were serverless. You still voted for us. President Rawlings' system, didn't he win all the northern sector votes? It is because of the way NDC dignifies everybody in Ghana, including the northerners.
Watching Joy News Prime, still to come in the bulletin. Policing why investigate death of aide to the vice presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mamadou Bawumia. Kwabena Boadu was found dead in his hotel room in the Upper West Regional Capital. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned. It was supposed to be a showdown between citizen vigilante and former Attorney General Martin Amidu and businessman Alfred Woyome over a 51 million cedi judgment that wrongfully paid him by the state. The interrogation was expected to throw up names of beneficiaries of the monies. A number of legal processes filed at the Supreme Court against the oral examination, however, meant that it was deferred. Rather, the Supreme Court will now, on December 1, hear the writ in which the businessman is challenging the ruling that granted Martin Amidu the opportunity to orally examine him. Lawyers for Mr. Woyome and a private legal practitioner, David Amatape, on Wednesday filed a writ seeking to overturn the earlier court ruling allowing the oral examination. Justice Anin Yeboah on Thursday adjourned the hearing to enable the former AG go through the writ, which he told the court had been handed to him only on Thursday morning. The people of the Ashanti Kingdom on Thursday observed the one-week commemoration of the passing of the Queen Mother Nana Ifeakobi Sewa Ampem II. The event attracted dignitaries, politicians and chiefs from all over and saw a rich display of Ashanti culture. Law firm Sirasa Sasari Donko, who witnessed the spectacle, however, reports it metamorphosed into a political rally with the entry of the two leading presidential candidates. According to him, the thousands who were following the Asantehene as he entered the mourning ground suddenly turned and swept towards the direction of the presidential candidate of the MPP, Nana Akufo-Addo, who made a last-minute entry chanting and making signs of change. Things turned murky when President Mahama also entered a few minutes later. His supporters are said to have also made counter gestures and chanted Twaso during the ground into one big political rally. Some Asante chiefs are said to have expressed displeasure at the turn of events.
What's happening here? We are here to celebrate Otumfuo's late mother's 1 week. But people are saying it to be a rally, political rally, which is not fine. Are we here to mourn or we are here to campaign? I don't understand. I don't know what is happening. But I'm doubting that the regions are 10 regions. Only one region is trying to capture everything. What is going on here is not fine to me. You think Otumfuo will be happy with it? At all. I particularly am not happy with what is going on. How can Otumfuo be happy? He's celebrating their late mother's 1 week. And just imagine what is happening. People are telling me, people were pushing others here, they were trying to fight. It is not fine. It's not fine.
What do you think went wrong? What should the security have done?
Anyway, the security came in. They did their job. Yes, they did their job. I was standing with them looking at them. They tried to calm tension down.
Do you think that the late arrival of the two flag bearers actually caused this?
Yes, that created the whole issue. Yes. The media train and now Akufo-Addo arrived. That's all the tension.
Right, Erastus Cesario Donko, who covered the event for Joy News, he joins me on the phone line now. Good evening to you, Erastus.
Good evening, Israel.
All right, I am more interested in the cultural display put up by the Ashantis. I mean, this is certainly a spectacle. It doesn't happen very often.
Exactly. It doesn't happen often, and we have rare regalia in African and Ashanti custom. Things that have been kept secret. They only come out on rare days like these and occasions like this. You see them being brought out today. Talk about the guns used hundreds of years before by the Ashanti king, brought out today. We have keys to certain properties. As you can see them being held. So in all, it was just a tradition of Ashanti, a pure Ashanti culture, being displayed at Jabrim at Menchia today.
It's time for business. Emmanuel Abajiriafe has all the details. Good evening to you, Emmanuel.
Hi, good evening, Izzy.
All right, what's coming up?
Well, coming up, ADB has finally reopened its initial public offering, which was suspended some time back for a couple of reasons. And the time for the raising or the time for the target to raise 380 million cedis is what people are wondering.
It's tight.
Yeah, it's very, very tight.
Yeah.
Just too tight.
All right, let's see how it goes.
All right, thank you. And ADB has finally reopened its initial public offering after several setbacks. According to a statement issued by the Ghana Stock Exchange, ADB is targeting 383 million cedis through the issue of about 144 million shares. The offer, which began on Thursday, is expected to end on December 5. ADB recently had to suspend a similar offering due to challenges with the pricing of its shares during the IPO. Speaking on Business Live on Joy News, research analyst from Gold Coast Fund Management, Bertha Tubiga, expressed doubt ADB could raise the amount given the short duration.
I was a bit surprised, or I was very surprised when I saw that ADB had reopened its initial public offering to enable it to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Why was I surprised? Because one, you look at the period in which this IPO is being opened, which is starting today, the 4th of November, and it closes on the 5th of December, 2016, at 12 o'clock noon. This is too period to raise the amount that is my view, the period to raise that amount. The second thing that I also want to raise concerns about is that one, looking at the initial IPO that was done previously, you know, we had so many issues coming up where shares which were supposed to be sold at 2.65 pesos were sold at 2 Ghana cedis per share. Right. And at the end of it all, the IPO was not successful. They were not able to list, and the regulators said the money should be refunded, should be given back to investors, all those who wanted to be part of the IPO. Yep. Now you're giving money back to investors, and there were so many questions that were raised about why you sold it at 2 cedis to some investors and sold it at 2.65 to some investors. The major thing is that it's going to reduce investors' confidence, or it has already reduced investors' confidence in the share. Right. The investor confidence has gone down, and looking at the period and the time, it is not like investors have so much confidence in the equity that you want to raise over 300 million Ghana cedis within 1 week to be able to list on the stock market. And another side of it is that Access Bank IPO is ongoing. It has not even ended. It's ending tomorrow. And under normal circumstances, I think it's always better that when one IPO ends, then the other can continue. It's so obvious, but they have their own reasons. I cannot condemn their reasons, but it's so obvious that this is in a rush.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. The Agbonfia of the Asogli State, Togba Further the 16th, has been elected the new president of the National House of Chiefs. He polled 25 out of the 49 votes cast, beating 3 others: Awulai Atibrukusu of Lower Axim in the Western Region, Doche Hene Osajefo Amwetio Forepaying from the Eastern Region, and Nana Kobnan Ketia V of the Sikado Traditional Area, also in the Western Region. Awulai Atibrukusu polled 11 votes, Asajefo Amwetio Forepaying polled 10 votes, whilst Nana Kobnan Ketia V polled 3 votes. Dasbre Kwebu Ewusi of the Abiadze Traditional Area, former president of the Central Regional House of Chiefs, has also been elected the new vice president of the National House of Chiefs. In his acceptance speech, the new House of Chiefs president, Togba Further, urged his colleagues, chiefs, to play their role to ensure a peaceful election. Lava Firm's Prince Apia reports.
The keenly contested elections also saw paramount chiefs of Esikado and Lower Axim, Nana Kobnan Ketia IV and Awulai Atibrukusu, respectively polling 14 votes between them, whilst Ochehene Osajefo Amwetio Forepaying garnered 10 votes. Abiadze Hene in the Central Region, Dasebre Kwebu Ewusi VII won the vice presidential slot over 2 others. Togbi Afede the 14th wants the chieftaincy institution transformed.
To staying true to these laudable goals, and I intend to prosecute an agenda that will see a total transformation of our institution. Hopefully, with your support, our institution will not be the same again. I intend, with the support of my vice, to lead in absolute humility. And so together, we can unite the chiefs and the people of this country. Together, we can build and enhance the image of our revered institution, restore reverence, and restore nobility.
Just a week to the elections, Togbi Afede also asked the chiefs to protect the peace of the country.
Positive role means positive involvement. It starts with our advising our political leaders and reminding them that while they seek the power to rule the people also desire peace to be able to enjoy their lives. It is important that everybody commits to free expression during the elections. Everybody commits to fairness of the process. As I've always said, if everybody desires to cheat, the result will be anarchy. The result will be chaos. Let us all work very hard to guard very jealously the peace, the unity, and the tranquility that has become our hallmark. As I said, we the chiefs have an important role to play. Apart from advising the politicians, we need to remind our people that their lives are more important than individual political ambitions. Political behavior in this country recently fits the description given by the famous British author Alexander Pope. Madness of many for the benefit of a few. Let's advise our people not to risk their lives for the benefit of a few. The way to do it is that we all stay true.
But Regional Director for the Electoral Commission, Shrebo Kweku, assured the chiefs. Meanwhile, Chieftaincy Minister Henry Siedu Dana has entreated members of the House to support the leadership for the good of the country.
In the same way, we entreat the chiefs to open their doors to all candidates for them to come and do their campaign. At the end of the day, they will have one vote and they will decide on which of them to vote for.
For Joy News, Prince Apia report.
Job creation ordinarily falls outside the mandate of members of parliament. However, promises politicians make the electorate on such a critical national issue come back to haunt them as voters hold them to their word. Voters in the Asawase constituency say they will consider jobs to decide between the incumbent and the challengers. In the following report, we take a look at one of the few seats virtually monopolized by the NDC in the Ashanti region. Law firm's Erastus Asarodonko reports.
Asawase, since its creation in 2004 from the defunct Asukwa East constituency, has voted NDC in both presidential and parliamentary elections. Late Dr. Jibril Adamu Mohammed picked the seat with 33,541 votes, representing 49.7%. Second-placed NPP's Patricia Appiagyei polled 29,067, or 43.1%. All other candidates shared a total of 4,877 votes. A by-election following Dr. Jibril's death in 2005 saw Muntaka Mubarak of the NDC stretch the then opposition party's dominance with 60.4% of valid votes. NPP's Baba Musa, then Ghana's ambassador to Guinea, managed 38.7%. In 2008, Muntaka Mubarak, now majority chief whip, retained the seat, though his percentage votes declined. Dr. Abdul Kabir of the NPP had 42.2%. The NDC candidate repeated the dose in 2012, beating NPP's Nana Antwi to it. 4 candidates are gunning for the seat this year. PPP's Issa Baba Kampon, Alhaji Muhammad Mubarak of the NDC, Ali Duseidu of the NPP, CPP's Elias Muhammad, and incumbent Muntaka Mubarak of the NDC. But the contest is largely between the NPP and NDC candidates. The creation of Asokore Mampo municipality from Kumasi Metro has brought lots of development to the area, with incumbent MP credited to be key agent. NPP Regional Chairman Bernard Enchibo-Siako has vowed to take Asawase this time round, and he puts his position on the line if he fails. This has seen strong mobilization of support in the predominantly Muslim constituency. It was evidenced by the euphoria that greeted party flag bearer Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to the constituency during a recent regional campaign tour. So beyond the talking and theatrical display, what goes into the thinking of voters?
Ask anybody in this village and this town, they will tell you that they are in hardship. There's no work for them, nothing that they can do to get money, even to pay their children's fees. It's very serious, very serious. Not a matter of the roads and what. Apart from the Waba road, all the road that they are doing is a second-hand road. And they just put this thing, the asphalt on it. Go and see the main road. The main road that they're supposed to do, they didn't do it. If everybody will support me and vote for Alidu, I think everything will be successful. Anytime when the NDC was in power, he will not neglect Asawase constituency. They always help Asawase constituency for development in terms of road, and the schools, and the hospitals, and the market. They will help us. That's why everybody continue voting for NDC.
As for me, I will vote for Honorable Alidu because we have an MP since 2004 to up to date, 2016. He told the youth of Asawase that he's not coming to look for a job for the youth. So I don't think that I will vote for an incompetent MP.
So what do the candidates say? First, the NPP's Alidu Seidu on unemployment.
We are in Asawase constituency. God being so good, Kumasi Airport is found on Asawase land. We have DVLA in Asawase constituency, Customs Excise and Preventive Service. We have it in Asawase constituency. We have ECG, Ghana Water. You go to DVLA, companies that are there are about 17 or so. I've served as an assemblyman before, the chairman for FNA, so I know what goes into it. With diplomacy, we are of the view that if you have establishment within your constituency, and for that matter within your locality, it is one way or the other serving as a security to the particular establishment if they give the indigents opportunity to serve them. From Ababu station out to Pakoso, that is where the demarcation of Asawase starts and ends. Now, no vocational and technical training center for the youth in Asawase. They want to be given opportunities. So we intend establishing a vocational and technical training center so that all the youth, those who want to learn some handiworks, will have the opportunity to do so.
Incumbent Alhaji Muntaka disagrees. He tells Love News he has provided a push for many of his constituents to get jobs.
What I keep telling everybody is that when you put the issue of unemployment at the doorstep of an MP, what do you want him to do? Go and read your constitution. And I'll keep saying this again and again and again and again. MPs do not provide jobs because they don't put up industry. MPs do not ask people, bring your CV, I'll go around looking for a job for you. MPs support people whenever there's opening, which we have done a lot. But a lot needs to be done in this community.
Time for entertainment, and Ms. G has joined me. Good evening to you, Ms.
Good
G.
evening, Israel. How are you doing?
I'm well.
All right, I see you well. All right, so yesterday I got a lot of criticism that I ran a story about D Black and Shatta Wale and all that they had got to say about Musica, but I didn't take the pain to let them hear what Obuo's response was. Actually, we had Obuo's response.
We had it yet.
Yes, we had yesterday, but we were pressed for time, so we couldn't share. So here's Obuo's response before anything else.
There's a different thing being there, and there's a different thing also being out there. And then also, for development to take place, it's not an event. It takes series of processes, and I'll be more glad if they took the pain to understand all the basic and fundamental things that are so important that we have done over the past 4 years, so that they will make judgment from a more desired point, where they are making their points from a point of knowledge, rather than sit outside and say things that they don't even... I saw some of the videos and I was like, oh, this is just ignorance, because if you know at all, then you wouldn't ask such a comment.
Have you taken the pain to explain to these folks who you're leading what your duty entails and the challenges it comes with?
So most of the time when I see this comment, it's normally coming from members who have become prodigal sons, or the members who have stayed away for far too long to even know what is going on. I work closely with Gasmela, I work closely with Wachame Kwame, Edem, Richie, Sarkodie. These are all young young folks, they've not turned against.
I think there's an agenda being pushed by Shatta Wale.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see a cause for alarm. But again, coming from Shatta Wale, when it's from Shatta Wale, there's a different way I follow Shatta Wale. Shatta Wale has been my very good friend.
You think that you lack competence in any way?
Oh, it's not for me to answer that. I think it's for the general musician body to say this. I went for a re-election just last year, November, and out of the people that voted, I had 70% of the vote. Then that is the judge of competence.
This is Joy News Prime.